Can you even believe that one singer managed to put more songs on the Billboard Hot 100 chart than anyone else ever? It sounds impossible, but it happened. Picture this. Week after week, year after year, his name just kept appearing on the charts, racking up a number so high it still boggles the mind today. And get this, he didn't just visit the #1 spot on the singles chart. He practically set up camp there, spending more weeks at the very top than any other artist in history. Think about all the massive hits across decades, and one person stayed perched at #1 longer than all of them. It's the kind of dominance that reshaped music history forever. Number 8. He didn't just visit the top spot. He, L-I-V-E-D, there, on the album parts too. Okay, so having hit singles is one thing, but ruling the album charts is a whole different level of massive. We're talking about the Billboard 200, the big league for albums. Elvis Presley didn't just score #1 albums. He spent an absolutely staggering amount of time with his albums sitting at the very top. Add up all the weeks his various LPs held the coveted #1 position, and you get a total that speaks volumes about sustained popularity. It wasn't just one or two lucky hits. His first album, simply titled Elvis Presley, shot to #1 in 1956 and stayed there for 10 solid weeks. Imagine that kind of debut impact. Then came Loving You, the soundtrack to his second movie, which also grabbed the top spot for 10 weeks in 1957. The hits. Think about the soundtrack for GI Blues in 1960, which lodged itself at #1 for 10 weeks, or Blue Hawaii in 1961. An absolute monster that dominated the top spot for an incredible 20 weeks. 20 weeks. That's almost half a year where his album was the best-selling LP in the entire United States. Even later in his career, the magic was still potent. The live album, Aloha from Hawaii via satellite, hit #1 in 1973. Proving his connection with the audience remained powerful. When you combine the weeks from all these chart toppers and others like Elvis's Back and the roustabout soundtrack, the cumulative total becomes immense. He spent a combined 67 weeks with a #1 album on the Billboard Top Pop Elvis chart, which later evolved into the Billboard 267 weeks. That's over a year and 3 months spent as the king of the album mountain across his career. This wasn't just about selling singles, it was about entire bodies of work captivating the nation time and time again, building a residency at the peak of the album charts that demonstrated incredible staying power and fan devotion. It required consistent delivery of albums people desperately wanted to own, from rock and roll explosions to movie soundtracks to gospel collections and live concert recordings. Each #1 album represented millions of records sold and countless hours of airplay, cementing his status not just as a singles artist, but as an album powerhouse, whose reign at the top was exceptionally long-lived. Number 7. Going for gold was his standard operating procedure. In the music business, getting a gold record is a huge deal. It means you've sold a massive amount of albums, specifically 500,000 copies back in the day, as certified by the Recording Industry Association of America, RIAA. It's a tangible symbol of success. A shiny plaque on the wall that says, "People really bought this music." Well, for Elvis Presley, getting gold records wasn't just an occasional triumph. It was practically routine. He amassed more RIAA Gold album awards than any other solo artist in music history. Let that sink in. More than Sonata, more than Michael Jackson, more than anyone flying solo. The sheer number is staggering. According to the RIAA's official count, Elvis has earned a jaw-dropping 117 gold album awards. 117 times an Elvis album shipped enough copies to meet that prestigious gold standard. This includes studio albums, soundtracks, compilations, live albums, gospel albums, the whole spectrum of his recorded output. Think about the consistency required to achieve this. From his explosive debut in the mid-50s, through his movie years in the 60s, and his triumphant return to live performing in the late 60s and 70s, the albums kept coming, and the fans kept buying them in huge quantities. Albums like Elvis Presley, Elvis, Loving You, Elvis Golden Records, Blue Hawaii, GI Blues, From Elvis in Memphis, Aloha from Hawaii via satellite, Moody Blue, they all struck gold, and that's just scratching the surface. Even compilation albums, released decades after he started recording, were eagerly snapped up by fans old and new, continuing to add to his gold tally. This record isn't just about peak popularity, it's about enduring appeal. And a catalog so deep and beloved that people kept buying it year after year, decade after decade. Each gold award represents 500,000 units shipped in the US alone, so multiply that by 117 and you start to grasp the sheer physical volume of his records that went into people's homes. It highlights not just artistic success, but also incredible commercial power, a connection with the buying public that remained robust throughout his career and beyond. This record underlines the fact that Elvis wasn't just a phenomenon. He was a reliable music-selling machine whose work consistently reached a massive audience, earning him more golden hardware than any other solo star. Number 6. He didn't just top one chart, he conquered 3 at once. Back in the 1950s, music charts were often separated by genre, reflecting the segregated nature of radio airplay and society itself. You had the main pop charts, like Billboard's best sellers in stores or top 100, the country and western charts, and the rhythm and blues, R&B charts. It was rare for an artist to make a significant impact across all three simultaneously. Different audiences, different radio stations, different sounds. Then came Elvis. In 1956, he didn't just cross over. He completely obliterated the boundaries. With his groundbreaking single Heartbreak Hotel, Elvis achieved something almost unthinkable at the time. He hit number 1 on Billboard's pop, country, and R&B charts all at the same time. Think about what that meant. He was topping the chart that tracked overall mainstream popularity, the chart for traditionally white, rural, and Western music, and the chart primarily focused on African American audiences. This single song resonated powerfully across vastly different demographics, a testament to its unique blend of blues, country, and rockabilly energy, all delivered with Elvis's electrifying vocal style. But he wasn't done. Later that same year, his double-sided monster hit Hound Dog, Don't Be Cruel, repeated the feat, also claiming the number 1 spot on the pop, country, and R&B charts concurrently. This multi-chart dominance was unprecedented for a solo artist. It demonstrated a level of universal appeal that defied the established categories. He was reaching everyone, everywhere. This wasn't just a musical achievement, it was a cultural one. His music was acting as a bridge, bringing sounds and audiences together in a way that hadn't happened on this scale before. It showed that his electrifying new sound, rooted in the very genres represented by these separate charts, had the power to transcend social and musical barriers. Achieving a number one on any of these charts was a major success. Topping all three with the same song twice in one year was a clear signal that a seismic shift was occurring in popular music, and Elvis was at its epicenter. It wasn't just about selling records. It was about uniting listeners under the banner of rock and roll, proving its appeal was broader and deeper than anyone might have previously imagined. This triple chart conquest remains one of the most potent illustrations of his revolutionary impact right at the start of his career. Number 5. 11 weeks of pure dominance with one single record. Imagine releasing a song so popular, so utterly inescapable, that it stays at the very top of the charts for nearly 3 solid months. In the fast-moving world of pop music, holding the number one spot is tough. Holding it for week after week after week takes a cultural phenomenon. Elvis Presley delivered exactly that with his legendary double-sided single, Hound Dog, Don't Be Cruel, in 1956. Released as a 45 RPM record where both sides were promoted as potential hits, an A-side and a B-side. This record didn't just climb the charts, it owned them. Don't Be Cruel and Hound Dog individually reached number one on Billboard's various singles charts. Bestsellers in stores, most played by jockeys, most played in jukeboxes. When Billboard consolidated these into the Top 100 chart, a precursor to the Hot 100, the single spent an incredible 11 consecutive weeks in the number one position. 11 weeks. That run started in August 1956 and lasted all the way into November. Think about the sheer cultural saturation required for that kind of run. Radio stations played it constantly. Jukeboxes devoured nickels from fans wanting to hear it again and again. People rushed to record stores to buy their own copy. Elvis performed Hound Dog with electrifying energy on national television, creating iconic moments that further fueled the song's popularity. While other songs have spent longer at number one in later decades with different chart methodology and market conditions, Elvis's 11-week reign with Hound Dog, Don't Be Cruel, was an absolute record for its time and set an incredibly high bar. It represented total market saturation and a level of popularity that was simply overwhelming. It wasn't just a hit song. It was the soundtrack to the latter half of 1956 for millions of Americans. The fact that it was a two-sided smash only amplified its impact. You got two distinct, incredible songs for the price of one record, both demanding attention. This 11-week residency at the chart summit wasn't just a statistic. It was a demonstration of raw star power and the magnetic pull of rock and roll music delivered by its most compelling new voice. It cemented his status as the undisputed king and showcased his ability to capture and hold the public's attention for an extended period in a way few had ever done before. Number 4. Nobody solo put more alls at the very top. Climbing to the number one spot on the Billboard album chart is the dream for any recording artist. It signifies that, for that week, your album was the most popular and best-selling album in the entire country. It's a monumental achievement. Now, imagine doing that not just once or twice, but 10 times. Elvis Presley holds the record for the most number one albums on the Billboard 200 chart by a solo artist. 10 different Elvis albums reached the pinnacle of that chart during his lifetime and posthumously. This record speaks volumes about his consistent ability to connect with a massive audience to full-length albums spanning different eras and styles of his career. His very first album, Elvis Presley, 1956, set the precedent, rocketing to number 1. He followed it up quickly with Elvis, also 1956, which also hit the top. Then came the soundtracks: Loving You, 1957, GI Blues, 1960, and the massively successful Blue Hawaii, 1961, all enjoyed reigns at number 1. Even as the musical landscape shifted dramatically in the 1960s, Elvis continued to score chart toppers. The soundtrack, Roustabout, 1964, hit number 1. His stunning 1968 comeback was foreshadowed by the success of his gospel album How Great Thou Art, 1967, which topped the top country used chart and performed strongly on the main pop chart, touting his versatility. His triumphant return to studio recording from Elvis in Memphis, 1969, while critically acclaimed, peaked just outside the top 10, but the live album momentum was huge. Aloha from Hawaii via satellite, 1973, capturing his landmark, global satellite broadcast concert, soared to number 1, proving his star power was still immense. Later compilations and posthumous releases like ELV1, 30-pound one hits, 2002, also topped the charts, adding to his tally and solidifying his record. Reaching number 1 10 times across such a long career, navigating changing musical tastes and industry shifts, is extraordinary. It required not just initial explosive popularity, but also reinvention, consistent quality, in the eyes of his massive fan base, and an enduring connection that kept people invested in his album-length projects. This record distinguishes him among solo performers, highlighting his unique and long-lasting command over the album format, from rockabilly beginnings to movie soundtracks, to live spectacles and gospel recordings. 10 times at the top, a peak achieved more often by him than any other solo voice in chart history. Number 3. He spent more time at number 1 on the seamless chart than anyone else. Being number 1 is great. Staying number 1 is legendary. But accumulating the most weeks at number 1 across your entire career, that's a whole other level of dominance. When you add up all the weeks that Elvis Presley's various singles spent locked in the number 1 position on the main Billboard singles charts, including best sellers in stores, most played by jockeys, top 100 and hot 100, the total is simply unmatched by any other artist in chart history. He spent a combined total of 79 weeks at the top. 79 weeks? That's more than a year and a half of his life where one of his songs was the absolute biggest hit in America. Let's break that down. It started with Heartbreak Hotel in 1956, which spent 7 weeks at the top of the top 100. Then came the brief 2-week reign of I Want You, I Need You, I Love You. That was immediately followed by the double-sided behemoth, Don't Be Cruel, Hound Dog, which, as we know, logged an incredible 11 weeks at number 1, still, in 1956. Before the year was out, Love Me Tender added another 5 weeks to his tally. The onslaught continued into 1957, Too Much, 3 weeks, the phenomenal All Shook Up, 8 weeks, and Let Me Be Your Teddy Bear, 7 weeks, followed by Jailhouse Rock, 7 weeks. the hits kept racking up weeks at the top. Don't, 5 weeks in 1958. Hard-Headed Woman, 2 weeks in 1958. A Big Hunk o' Love, 2 weeks in 1959. After his Army service, he returned with Stuck on You, 4 weeks in 1960. It's Now or Never, 5 weeks in 1960. And Are You Lonesome Tonight, 6 weeks in 1960. Then came Surrender, 2 weeks in 1961. Good Luck, Charm, 2 weeks in 1962. His final #1 on the Hot 100 during his lifetime, Suspicious Minds, added 1 more week in 1969. It reflects an artist who wasn't just a flash in the pan, but a consistent source of #1 songs over more than a decade. Spending 79 weeks at the summit is a testament to his incredible connection with the audience, his hit-making prowess, and his enduring reign as the king of the singles chart. No other artist has accumulated more time at the absolute peak. #2. He sent more songs into the top 40 than any other artist, the top 40. For decades, this was the magic zone on the radio and the charts. Getting a song into the top 40 meant you had a real hit on your hands, a song receiving significant airplay and connecting with a large audience. It separated the minor chart entries from the songs that truly permeated popular culture. While reaching #1 is the ultimate goal, consistently landing songs within the top 40 demonstrates incredible staying power and a reliable ability to produce hits. Elvis Presley didn't just visit the top 40. He practically owned real estate there. He holds the all-time record for the most songs to reach the top 40 of the Billboard Hot 100 chart. The number is simply mind-blowing. 115 songs. 115 different Elvis Presley recordings climbed into that coveted upper echelon of the main singles chart. Think about the sheer volume of hits that represents. It wasn't just the iconic #1s like Jailhouse Rock or Are You Lonesome Tonight? It also includes massive top 10 hits like Can't Help Falling in Love, Return to Sender, In the Ghetto, and Burning Love. But it goes even deeper than that, encompassing dozens of other beloved songs that peaked somewhere between position 11 and 40. Songs like Blue Suede Shoes, his version charted concurrently with Carl Perkins. Treat Me Nice, One Night, Follow That Dream, Devil in Disguise, Crying in the Chapel, If I Can Dream, Kentucky Rain, and American Dream. Each one of those 115 entries represents a song that resonated enough with the American public to become a significant hit. Achieving this requires not only talent, but also prolific output and an incredibly dedicated fan base that consistently supported his new releases year after year. From 1956's Heartbreak Hotel all the way through posthumous entries, his name was a constant fixture in the top 40. This record, perhaps more than any other, showcased the breadth and depth of his success. It wasn't just about towering peaks. It was about an incredibly high floor of popularity. To consistently produce music that charted in the top 40, across seismic shifts in musical trends, from rockabilly to Hollywood soundtracks to Vegas era, Power Ballads is a testament to his adaptability and enduring connection with listeners. 115 top 40 hits, a number that solidifies his status as the most consistent hitmaker the charts have ever seen. #1, he simply charted more songs than anyone else, period. This might be the ultimate testament to Elvis Presley's staggering popularity and prolific career. Forget just the top spot. Forget the top 10. Forget even the top 40. Let's talk about simply getting a song onto the main Billboard singles chart, the Hot 100 and its predecessors. Making the chart at all means a song achieved a certain level of sales, airplay, or jukebox play, signifying it had registered on the national radar. Elvis Presley holds the undisputed record for the most charted songs in Billboard history. According to Billboard's official statistics, Elvis has placed an astonishing 150 different songs onto its main singles charts, primarily the Hot 100 and the earlier charts like bestsellers in stores. 150 entries. No other artist comes close to this number. This includes everything from his 18 #1 hits all the way down to songs that peaked in the lower reaches of the chart. It encompasses asides, B-sides that charted independently, album cuts that gained traction, and even posthumous releases that continued to find an audience. Think about what that means. It reflects an artist whose output was immense and whose fan base was so dedicated that they would often buy or request not just the designated single, but other tracks associated with him as well. Consider the era of 45 RPM singles where often the B-side also received airplay and sales, sometimes charting right alongside the A-side. Elvis had numerous instances of this, like Hound Dog and Don't Be Cruel, charting simultaneously, or Jailhouse Rock and its B-side, Treat Me Nice, both becoming major hits. This record also speaks to his longevity. He charted songs consistently from the mid-1950s right through the 1970s, and his presence continued even after his passing, with archival recordings and remixes finding their way onto the Hot 100. Reaching 150 charted songs required a relentless pace of recording and releasing music, combined with an unparalleled ability to capture public interest time and time again. It's a record built on quantity as much as quality, demonstrating a unique phenomenon where virtually anything Elvis released had a chance of making an impact. From the raw energy of his Sun Records sessions, which hit the charts upon national release by RCA, to the polished sounds of his movie years and the dramatic performances of his later career, his music consistently found its way onto the Billboard charts, building a tally that remains untouchable. More than anyone else, Elvis Presley made the Billboard singles chart his home, leaving behind a record of 150 chart entries that perfectly encapsulates the sheer scale of his impact on American popular music.